Hello once again, our most valued student. My name is Confident and welcome to the continuation of our graphs. By the way, this is the topic on graphs, and look at the question that I brought here. This is a November 2022 paper, and I just want to focus on the section that covers graphs. What I'm trying to do is to prepare you for the final exam so that when they bring similar questions, you're going to be in a position to answer them. So this was one of paper one example, an exemplary paper, and we're going to look at everything that has to do with graphs. Guys, they do carry some marks, so you don't want to find yourself losing out on marks. Let's try here and check if ever there is something to do with graphs. So far there is nothing on this question, and there it is. Look at this. I'm just going to be brief on some of the sections. Okay, this one was not. By the way, I'm going to do the whole of this paper but in different sections. So if I'm looking on graphs, I'm going to bring it back, cover the section on graphs. If it's algebra, I'll bring it again, cover the section of algebra, and so on and so on. All right. So let's look at this. It says identify the formula that shows the relationship between what? X and Y in the table given above. Now, I just want to show you something here that might... Okay, let's first get to the answer. If they have given you the answers here, it's very easy. So what you do is you choose the easier one is this one. What does it mean? On that one, remember this represent X, this represent Y. It means when X is equal to 0, Y is equal to 1. And we call this place where X is equal to 0 the what? The x-intercept. The y-intercept. Sorry about that. So you must know it's an intercept. Remember, if you check the previous lesson, I said an intercept is where the graph cuts the axis. So this becomes the y-intercept. So the moment you say y-intercept, x is equal to 0. If I say, what about x-intercept? The moment I write x-intercept, if I say x-intercept, you must already know in the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. You see the opposite. If you say y-intercept, it's x that is 0. If you say x-intercept, it's y that is 0. So here, you can see that what they gave me in this question, they gave me the what? As you can see, they gave me the y-intercept. So I was just trying to make you remember that. But that was not still important. But what you simply do, you come on all these equations, you put where there is x, you put 0, and it must give you y is equal to 1. If it gives you 1, then you're correct. So look, if I say here 0 plus 6, it gives me 6, which is wrong. It's not 1. I put a 0 here, minus 0, minus 4. This gives me a negative 4. What about here? You put a 0 here. So it's like minus 2 times 0. That's how we do it. Minus 9. And then you get what? Minus 9. So it's not. What about the next one? It's 5 times 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. There it is. You see? There is y. Remember, on the other side, you're saying y is equal to 5 times that. So the answer there is a D. Why did I choose this one? I chose it because it's simpler. If you did want to choose that one, you can choose any, but because you want to get your marks fast and move on, I can choose this point. Remember, x is 1, so what it means is if I say y is equal to 5 times 1, that's what we mean by substitution, plus 1, so which is equal to 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1, it's 6. Look, there I get that 6, any point. So the rest won't give you those answers, but this one seems to give us the answers. So that is the correct one. You can test it. It will work always. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next one to see if ever there was something. I think there is this, there is nothing there. This, there is nothing there. And okay, number patterns. This is similar, but for now, I'll leave it out. I'll look when I'm studying number patterns. But it's similar to what we're doing. But no. There we go. This one will give us 5. It says given y is equal to this. 8x minus 3, and x is an element of minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2. Fill in the input values and the rows in the flow diagram below, hence determine the corresponding output values. Guys, you mustn't struggle. How many marks? 5. This is a given 5 marks. What you need to know is that this is where everything is happening. Meaning, this is your 8x. Let me write it properly. This is where you write your 8x minus 3. It's the engine. You can even write here y is equal to 8x minus 3. Still fine. And then in here, at the beginning, you see they say start from minus 2. That's where you've got your minus 2, then minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. So what are they saying? They are saying this minus 2 will go into this thing to give us a number there on top. So minus 2 must correspond to that side. Are you with me? You must correspond. Minus 1 will correspond to that, and so on and so on. So you must be very careful that you match these things. Alright, let's start with minus 2. You can use a calculator if you want, but if you can work it out, it's still good. This is what you do. You say y is equal to 8. Now x is this is our x, remember. This is our x, and this will become our y, what we're going to get. So the input values are these. These are the input. And what we call this? We call this the output. What we get out. Are you with me? So what are we inputting? For where there is x, you say times negative 2. That was where there was x. Okay. And then after that is what? Minus 3. Okay. So y is equal to, you can use a calculator, guys. Unless if you want to take it your way to say, let me first try it myself, which is good. 8 times minus 2 is minus 16 minus 3. And minus 16 minus 3 is minus 19. But use a calculator to verify. So you've got here negative 19. You do the same thing. Nothing is changing. You are just changing this input value from minus 2. What do you put now? You put minus 1 minus 3. So what is 8 times minus 1 is minus 8 minus 3. Now you add and return the sign. 8 plus 3, it's 11. Now, because it's minus 8 minus 3 is negative 11. But how do you verify? You verify with the calculator. Are you with me? You continue again from here. We change this again. This time we're saying what? 0. 8 times 0 minus 3. So 8 times 0 it becomes 0. The answer there simple becomes that. Because 8 times 0 becomes 0. So the answer is minus 3. You write there minus 3. Test with your calculator. Then the next one is what? 8 times 1. It's easier when it starts becoming positive, you see. So what is 8 times 1? It's 8. 8 minus 3 is what? It's 5. You put a 5 there. And then the next one is what? Is 2. So you just have to be careful when you are dealing with the negative sign. So it's 8 times 2 minus 3. What is 8 times 2? It's 16 minus 3. It is what? It is 13. It's positive. So there you put your 13. Those are the answers they expected. Input and output. Input and output. And if you did it well, you are getting your full 5 marks. So this, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for doing everything. It's not bad. It was good marks. Alright, let's move on. Okay, you get that question 6 is algebra there. That's question. Let me look at this. I think we've got something here. Question number 7. Very important. It says identify the values representing the gradient. Yes, that's where we are on graphs. The gradient and the y-intercept from the equation. So look what they do. They will give you an equation as they gave here to say y is equal to 2x minus 5. Alright. Now let's come back and match this. Let's start from the basics. There is what is called the equation of a line. Equation of a line. Right? I might not have covered this in the previous lesson, but remember this thing. The equation of a line. What is the equation of a line? It says y is equal to mx plus c. Are you with me? What is y? These are the y-axis or the y values. What is x? These are the x values. So that is not a problem. The x and the y is the ones that when you are doing this table like this, you see, this is where you say x and you say y, and then you get these values here. So those are the x and the y values. They change, but there is something that does not change. What is not changing is this m. What is this m? This m here is the gradient. It's represented by letter m. And then what about the c? This c here is the y-intercept. Alright, and if you remember the previous lesson when I did an example of a graph, let's say you have a graph like this, and then these are the y-axis and these are the x-axis. So you've got y here, you've got x, I mean not ax. If I draw a line like this, for example, in this line, I told you there are certain things that you need to remember. Number one, you need to know that point. What is it that cuts the y-axis? We call this the what? Y-intercept. And I said what happens in the y-intercept? You must remember x is equal to 0. And then you come here again and say what is this point? This point is called the x-intercept. Why the x-intercept? Look at it. It's in the x-axis. It's along the x-axis. Hence, it's cutting. To intercept is to cut. Okay, so you are cutting the x-axis. Hence, you are intercepting, like intersecting someone. If someone intercepts you, it means it cuts across you. So to intercept the x-axis, you call it the x-intercept. At that point, you must automatically write y is equal to 0. These are very important conditions. Then, there is this y-intercept that I want you to focus on. This y-intercept further has got a special meaning. That y-intercept, look at this. Let's combine them. Let me make it a little bit smaller. Let's combine this. Look at this. I said y-intercept here, and I said y-intercept here, you see? Meaning C is the what? C is the y-intercept. So you find C there. Are you with me? You must remember that. Now, when it comes to the gradient, that's the second thing I want to show you now. When it comes to the gradient, you need to know how to calculate the gradient. Then, for now, we cannot use a formula like we will do in grade 10 and 11 and going forward. There is a formula for gradient, but for you, for your syllabus, you just have to appreciate that the gradient is found by saying vertical change, all right, over horizontal change. Okay, I think that's the best. Vertical change over horizontal change, meaning here you can use also another way, say change in y over horizontal is what? Is change in x. Change. So what do they mean? Let's say I give you 2 points out of intersect. I give you 2 points. I say this is point 4 and 2, and then I give you another B, and then I say 7 and then let me say 6. This I gave you these points, and then I say find me the gradient here. All right. So what is the gradient here? I say the vertical change. Now, which one is the vertical change? The vertical change, remember when you write your axis, when you are given this, you must know that A is x-axis and the y-axis. So it's the coordinates are like this. It's x and y. Even here, it's always x and y. So it means x here is 4, here x is 7 on B. On point A, y is 2, and on point B, y is 6. So if I say vertical change, I say change in y, meaning we are looking at this change. And then how do you do the change? It's up to you how you want to do it. You can take 2 and subtract 6. That's how you do it. You subtract them. You say 2 minus 6. Over, the way you did it, if you say 2 minus 6, you must follow the same thing here about the change in x. You must say 4 minus 7. Don't change that. Don't say 7 minus 4. Or you could have said it like this. If you wanted to write it the other way around, you can say 6 minus 2. I started from the bottom going up, but at the same time, we must say 7 over 7 minus 4. You must always be consistent. The answer we get, like here, 2 minus 6 is minus 4 over 4 minus 7 is minus 3. Even here, 6 minus 2 is 4 over 7 minus 3. Minus 4 is 3. You see, what am I getting? I'm getting here 4 over 3, but here minus 4 over 3. But don't forget, negative and a negative, it's positive. This is still the same as 4 over 3. But I always encourage you, when you're working on this now, it's always good. Just take a calculator. Don't make life hard. Just do this. 2 minus 6 over 4 minus 7. See, you don't have to make life hard. And then there it is, 4 over 3. So that's how you find the gradient. Are you with me? Are you with me? Let's come back to this. Having said the same information, here they are saying identify the values representing the gradient and the y-intercept from the equation. So we're back here. If we compare this equation, let me write it again from what I said. I said the equation of a line is y is equal to what? mx plus c. And then they gave us that one, which is what? Y is equal to 2x minus 5. You see, we want to compare now. They want, and you need to tell us. Remember, I did tell you what is m. M is the gradient. That's what they're looking for, the gradient and the y-intercept. So you do this. You match, identical match. Okay, let me use a straight line here. You just match it to say if I cut here and I cut here like this. I know it looks funny like this, but look, there it is. Do you see what it means? It means here m is equal to what? M is equal to 2. So that's the gradient. Remember, m is the gradient. Then you're going to say gradient is equal to what? Is equal to 2. You already see the other answer, right? Then look at this. You come here like this. Now, with the c, it's plus c. Take the plus c so that you can take the other sign. If you don't do that correctly, you'll get it wrong. Look at this. So the c here, it must always be plus c. So you're going to say here c is equal to the number you see there, which is not 5 but minus 5. And what is c? And so the y-intercept in this case, as you said, equal to what? Minus 5. Alright, so that is how you can then use this thing or this part here. What do we call it? We call it the equation of a line. Actually, I've already done that. It is called the equation of a line. So, okay, having done that, so if you're going to say what is the gradient, you can actually look and write the answers. Look at this. What is the gradient? Is that number 2? So you say 2. Then what is the y-intercept? Is that number minus 5? You say minus 5. You see, that's why it's 1 mark, 1 mark. But I was just trying to show it for you here, how it is obtained. Alright, let's move on. It says 7.2, given 3y plus 2x is equal to minus 6. Now, careful now. Calculate the x-intercept. Now, pay attention. You need to be very sensitive to what the question is saying. The question is saying calculate the x-intercept. And I said here, when you hear this word, where is it? When you hear this word x-intercept. So if you look at the x-intercept, guys, look at this. We talked about this. We said at the x-intercept, there is a key thing that you must always mention, that y is equal to 0. And then if you're dealing with the y-intercept, there is a key part that you must always remember, x is equal to 0. So in this question here, they want the x-intercept, meaning we must equate y to 0 here. When they're saying calculate the x-intercept. So what you must do, write that thing on top, y is equal to 0. Then you write the equation, what is it? 3y plus 2x is equal to minus 6. So we have got 3y plus 2x let me get it straight again. 3y plus 2x, 3y plus 2x is equal to negative 6. But don't forget, y is equal to 0. Then you substitute there, which is 3. You can put times or put a bracket, and that's 0. That's what substitution means. You can put a times here, it's still 5, plus 2x is equal to negative 6, right? Now 3 times 0, this becomes a 0. It's more like this disappears, all right? So after that, we have got 2x is equal to negative 6. Then how do you separate x from 2? Look, this is 2 times x. You see, 2x means 2 times x is equal to minus 6. Now, what is the opposite of multiplication sign? That multiplication sign, you can only do the opposite, which is the division sign. So you divide by 2, you divide by 2. I'm using 2 because that's what we don't want there. You see, opposite of multiplication is division. Then you're going to say x is equal to, you can use a calculator, minus 6 divided by 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Then it's negative 3. You see, this is the what? The x-intercept. So if they say calculate the x-intercept, you see you need to show the working all together until you've got that answer to say x is equal to what? X is equal to minus 3. Had they said, what about the y-intercept? Y-intercept. Let's say they wanted you to do x and y-intercept. What you need to remember is that x is equal to 0. You do the same thing. 3y plus 2x is equal to minus 6. Now, remember, it's the x this time. 3y plus 2 bracket 0 is equal to minus 6. This is just extra, you know. So this becomes 0 altogether. So you've got 3y, or 3 times y is equal to minus 6. What do you do this time? You divide by 3. You divide by 3. Then you see that when you cancel there, y is equal to 3 goes into 6 2 times, which is negative 2. This was not required, but what if the question said find the x and the y-intercept? I'm just going ahead and showing you that. So far so good. Look, it's 2 marks, but just trust me, they count a lot towards the final mark that you'll be given. 7.2.2, it says sketch the graph of, they want us to sketch this graph, which is what we just did there. 3y plus 2x is equal to minus 6 on the set of x's provided. How many marks did they give this one? 3 marks. You see, they were a bit unfair because guess what? They asked you to find the y-intercept, and in the y-intercept, I mean the x-intercept, we did get the x-intercept. It was when x is, when here we got x is equal to minus 3, meaning when x is minus 3, what is y? We know what is y. Y is equal to 0. So it was easy for us to come here and say, okay, let's look for the point minus 3, 0. You come here and you say, okay, there it is, that point minus 3, 0.